Yo, what's going on, guys? Sorry for the absence. You know the deal. Anyway, today we have a viewer losing poker these nuts on GG. This is the YouTube channel. It's recently created. And he's uploading his sessions with the aim of improving, encouraging everyone to get involved in the comments and critique plays, offer tips, advice, anything that you think he could be doing better. And in his 9th upload, as you can see here, he's mentioned me specifically in the comments and asked if I've got any insight. For whatever reason, he thinks that could be of some value. So, who am I to turn down such a request? So here we are. We're gonna fly through his video and see if we can spot anything and offer any advice we can, and could potentially help some of you guys playing similar stakes. On that note, obviously, if you're somebody playing similar stakes, you're looking to improve, get better with like-minded individuals, here's his YouTube channel. That's Losing Poker at Rate My Poker Face on YouTube. Username on GG is D's Nuts, as we'll see. So yeah, I'll stop waffling. Let's get stuck in. Right, so we're going to fly through. It's a half-hour video, and I'll spend 4 hours on over-analysing, so I'm trying to be as quick and blunt and brutally honest as we can. Right, so hold up. Right, Cayman open, defend. Yeah, it's fine. We can just fold pre, but yeah, it's fine as a defend. Good. No, check again. It's fine. Block's fine. I prefer checking again. This gives them the opportunity to bluff. Oh, no. Clear value bet now. Got like 3/4. Just got too many one pair hands to check back. Yeah. So yeah, I check turn because in positions they're all like decently uncapped. Sorry, not in position, EP. With the cold caller on the button, I think people will default to checking a lot later in a multi-way pot with their like weaker ace-6, ace-10 off, ace-jack off, that sort of stuff. We'll be checking back at high frequency on the flop. Block's fine. I'd probably lean towards checking on the turn. But yeah, this is minor. This isn't anything you can gain from this. Block's fine, but I think checking river's a big mistake. Because when he checks back for flop and floats turn, he's got to be heavily weighted towards the maybe like pocket 6s, 7s, stuff like that with a heart. Those sorts of hands, which aren't oftentimes going to bet the river, right, when the flush gets there. So if he's sitting there with like 7s with a heart, and this comes in, he sits there, he time banks 10 seconds, and he's probably, maybe he does fire a little half pot and you get a check raise and might get a call or a fold. Might be the way to get max value. I think we predominantly want to target this sort of range, like weak pairs and stuff like that. So I think just maybe another block on the river, or like a 40%, like a small size in that can induce raises from well, it'll get called by all these sorts of hands, and it'll potentially find a raise, like a pocket 8s, pocket 9s with a heart that didn't. So I'm predominantly just targeting one pair hands here, I think, and weak flushes. So yeah, like a block, third pot or something. I think he's best on the river. I think checking's a big mistake because it's just going to get checked back super high frequency. He's not going to have bluffs, and he doesn't have any strong value. All right, on we go. Fold. Yeah, right, so just this automatically just wasting time. Okay, so just fold. We're not going to play this in any way, shape or form. The big blinds playing a short stack, potentially a recreational player, so you could argue for a limp. Like, it's a weak hand, it's not a playable hand. I'm playing 5 and L, we don't need to be taking these like marginal spots and wasting time. So you get dealt this in a small blind, you're not ever going to be playing it in any fashion. It doesn't matter if it goes like limp. I mean, we're still folding, so just fold. And then save 3 seconds there, or 2 seconds, you know, get more hands in per hour. Also, I would, right, let's remember we got the notes open here as well. Right, so wasting time with, 0% played hands pre. Right, another little thing. Snacks in big blinds. In my opinion, you should be playing not with the monetary amount displayed. You should be playing with stacks in big blind. In big blinds, it just helps with the mindset, viewing it as, you know, like a strategic game. And you're playing 100 big blinds deep, you know, you open to 2.x big blinds, 3 big blinds, whatever, you 3-bet to 10 big blinds, 4 bets, you know, you want to be thinking of things in terms of big blinds. Same post flop when you're betting, percentages of the pot, and it's just all a lot easier when you're working with 100 big blinds stack depth, and you're going from there, especially as you're moving up through the stakes, 5NL, 10NL, 25, you know, it's just an extra little bit of computing you've got to do. These little micro decisions where somebody bets, you know, 67 cents into 150. Now you're going like, oh, what's that, around 40%, you know, and you're having to work out what it is. As opposed to that just being, you know, 11 big blinds into 30. And now you're like, oh, right, okay, yeah, it's a lot clearer, you know, what it represents as a percentage. For me, at least, anyway, I could be talking shit here, but I'd highly recommend just playing in big blinds. And it detaches you from the monetary aspect as you move up through the stakes. So I can be playing 200 NL or 2 NL, and it's still 100 big blind poker. And they're betting 1 big blind, they're betting 2 big blinds, I'm raising 10, you know, it's just big blinds. It's what we're playing for. As opposed to like, oh shit, you know, he's bet $17. Oh, I don't, you know, it adds a monetary element to it. But I think we want to detach from as best we can when we're playing. Right. Moving on. So yeah, just fold this quickly. Save time. Yeah, fold. Good. Fold. Right, so sorry, actually. Going back to the Jack 5 quickly. Right. Take a second. So I actually wouldn't fold. I would min open this on the button. As an exploit on GG specifically, I play a lot of volume at these stakes, and there's just so much dead money, mate. You can just min open this anytime you see 2 of these. Look, it's an 18-16 VPIP. Asian players, you know, they're very predictable. 50% of the pool is the sub 20 VPIP, 4 tabling, leaderboard grinder, no brain. They've got the fucking auto fold charts on. They, you know, so I would just min open like range pretty much when you have 2 blinds like this. And I'd be getting these tagged as well. So like you don't need. I saw you taking some notes and stuff, or like sticking around. So you don't want to be noting everyone at these stakes. Note the absolute whales. You know, if somebody's got like a huge read, or they're playing wildly, you know, in case you come across them in the future. But you want to be flying through these stakes. You don't want to be spending loads of time like getting to know the regs and tagging everyone. And the pool's so big and it's irrelevant. But yeah, I just have a tag. I use dark green for just like, you know, passive reg, you know, attackable. So yeah, don't auto fold button or small blind. If you're in a small blind and the big blind's just some like nitty nothingy guy, just 100% frequency, literally 100%, like 7-2 off, you should be opening because it's profitable pre-flop. You don't get raised enough, and occasionally you'll go post-flop and you have equity, so it's just winning all around. And just obviously don't go crazy post-flop and punt off loads of money, but the profit comes from opening pre. So yeah, this is good, just min open, and you'll just get 2 snap folds like so much of the time. And the times you don't, you're not getting raised a lot pre-flop, so you're not getting denied equity in that sense, you know, which is what makes opening these hands bad in theory versus like a competent opponent. That's why we don't. But yeah, I just min open this and just take our equity post flop, you know, just play sensible and don't invest loads of money. Start off with a little small c bet most boards and check back turns and bluff catch river. Just don't go crazy, you don't get stacked, you know, with a mediocre hand. Just take the spot for what it is, pre. Right, so, pay attention on button to the blinds. Open any 2 cards versus nets. Right. There's a little caveat to that. We'll go into it later. It'll probably come up. But yeah, button, just don't be auto folding. It applies to earlier positions as well. You always want to be looking at who's on the table, but yeah, it's harder at these stakes when the pool's so big. But just as a little quick thing you can do now, like on the button, just stop auto folding. Just take a quick second, look at the guys in the blinds, and if they're like this, you can just open any 2 cards. Same in a small blind. And you expand your, not any 2 cards, but you expand your range on the button versus a recreational in the big blind. Or the small blind, you know, if he's like really wide and coolly. And the big blind's not like an active reg, you're going to get squeezed a lot. So yeah, hands like, you know, queen 2 suited, say you might not open on the button, but if there's a recreational in the big blind, I would be opening that on the button. Assuming a small blind isn't, you know, a really active regular that's going to 3-bet a lot on attack. Anyway, maybe getting a little bit too in depth. Yeah, fold, good. Good. Also, 4-color deck. I mean, this is just a personal thing, so this isn't a tip as such, but yeah, I'd play with a 4-color deck. It just avoids, it's a good habit to get into. Just avoids any mistakes, you know, if you end up multi-tabling at some point down the line and thinking you got a flush, you know, because you see 5 red cards, and it happens. It's happened to me live, so I'd play with a 4-color deck personally, but if you prefer it as is, it's a personal thing. Right, 1 sec, I need my vape. Right, okay, yep, so this is a huge mistake. It's just a snap fold pre. Right. No. So 3-bet or fold from the small blind. No cold calling. Exception. Pair. We'll limit it to like pairs and suited ace-x, and basically hands that can make the nuts play well multi-way with a recreational involved in the pot or likely to be involved in the pot. So if the opener is a recreational player, exception pairs. I'm just going to keep it really simple, man. There's a lot of nuance to it, and you know, ways we can improve this strategy, but so I would just play 3-bet or fold from the small blind. Don't be calling ever. Same applies to the button. This also applies to the button, what I'm about to write here for the small blind. If there's like a big recreational player in the big blind, then we're incentivized to call hands that would otherwise be a 3-bet and call some hands that would otherwise just be a fold. The incentive being the recreational in the big blind is going to call a lot of the time, and we get to, you know, stack flushes with with nutted flushes and flop trips versus their, you know, 2 pairs and top pairs, and they make big mistakes post flop. So those hands like go up a lot in value in EV. They go from being, you know, a fold to a hand that makes money by being played. And when we 3-bet, you know, something like, say, like ace-10 suited here or something, and isolate ourselves versus the reg, were it to be a reg that opens, doesn't seem to be one. Then more often than not, the recreational in the big blind is just going to fold. So hands that would ordinarily 3-bet, in theory, will function better as calls, because we want the recreational involved in the pot. That's where we make our money in poker. But yeah, this hand's just, it's not even close. It's just snap fold pre. So like pairs and suited a6. Yeah, I'm trying to take these notes as well in a way that I think's understandable to most people out there. Try not to get like too technical or use too much jargon. Might lose interest from a lot of people. Right, so 3-5 on the big blind, no cold calling except pairs and suited a6. You should have some ranges as well, bro, like pre-flop ranges if you don't already. And just familiarize yourself with those, because if you had any sort of pre-flop ranges, then yeah, King 9 off's just not even close to being played here in any way, shape or form. Even versus the button, if the button opened 2 big blinds, King 9 off's just a snap fold. And Ace 9 off is close, like it's losing money being played, but like that's the borderline. Do you know what I mean? Like Ace 10 off here would be like the versus yeah, Ace 9 off's a fold. Like Ace 10 off you would play versus him in open, and again there's a 3-bet or a fold. It's not the you can play calls from the small blind, but I'm advocating to not play calls from the small blind for people playing these stakes 3-bet or fold. You want to be in position as the aggressor. That's where you make all your money in poker. You make all your money in poker playing versus recreationals, preferably in position. But yeah, you filter your poker tracker, holder manager, whatever tracker you're using, and would advocate getting one if you're not already using one. All your money is made in position as the aggressor. And yeah, doubly so versus 10 times so versus recreationals. So you're choosing to play here out of position. Versus the aggressor. This guy has an uncapped range. Your range is very capped, and you're out of position. So he gets the final say on every street. If you check, he can bluff. You know, if you have some sort of value, you lead, he can choose whether he calls or shoves all in. You know, it's a huge advantage, and you're putting yourself at a massive disadvantage just playing a weak range or out of position. Waffling on, but yeah, just snap fold pre-man, not even close. Get some pre-flop ranges. As played now, we're not folding. Yeah, check call. Yeah, I don't like it. Don't like it. It's a weird spot. It's a spot we shouldn't even be in to begin with. But like, what does this accomplish? We're not really scared of anything, right? Like, any cards? The 9's pretty relevant here. You know, getting like 6, 10, jack turns. Like we have comfortable like check call, maybe check raise turn. He has aces, ace king, pocket 7s, pocket 8s, king 8 suited, king 7 suited, should do at least, but perhaps not at these stakes. Seems to be somewhat active. 7, 8 suited, like he has all the 2 pairs, all the sets, top pair, strong top pairs, aces, like I say, you know, we don't achieve much by raising here. Just fold out all these just random stabs when he's betting a small size as well. This is going to be like a range bet from a lot of players at these stakes, so he'll have like pocket 5s here, you know, just see betting range on the flop. And when you raise, like what do you accomplish really? You're not going to get like multiple streets of value your hand. Now if he just calls this bet and the turn's like a 2, like what are you doing now? Like you bet turn again, you know, he's sitting there with ace king, pocket 7s, pocket 8s, king 8 suited, aces. Like now you're just like value owning yourself and betting money. Or, you know, all of a sudden he calls this and it turns a blank and you check and it's like, oh fuck, you know, you just get yourself in a lot of dicey spots with a mediocre hand. His hands just want, your hand now as played just wants to get to showdown at the minute. So yeah, it's just doesn't accomplish anything. So now it's just a check again. Like we're betting, what we're looking to do, get value from worse hands here when he still has an uncapped range. It's a massive overplay. So like again, now he's sitting here with like I don't know, 10 jack off or something like that, like a gut shot. Do you know what I mean? Or 10 jack suited, say. And he's like, see, but the flop we've min raised, he's called. Now we're like bet turn, the hand's not calling, like, and he still has all these nutted hands. We just check and allow him to bluff and just try and control the size of the pot and get to showdown. Like, he raises you now on the turn, and like we have a snap fold, and now we don't get to showdown with a hand that otherwise could have done. Yeah, but just snap fold pre, check call flop, check assess turn. We'll be playing this in some way, shape, or form. What was the stats there? Yeah, I don't know. Fucking, this is gonna be like a 3-hour video. There's barely any sample. He's a super nit. We're still gonna be playing it. So yeah, 3-bet fold. Again, what I said to you, if there was like a massive fish here in the big blind, like a wow, you know, or a big recreational player, then we'd be incentivized to call instead of 3-bet, taking into account the button. Button here seems very active, so like that approach less. But yeah, we want to be playing in position versus recreational. So if the big blind was like a big recreational, I'd be leaning maybe towards call if this guy wasn't too active. But yeah, 3-bet fold, just have in mind, 3-bet fold unless you've got a good reason to deviate, and call when it should be with these sorts of hands like suited. This is too strong maybe, but yeah, you know, like ace-5 suited, you know, in your pocket 5, 6s, 7s, like these hands, that can make nutted hands and win big pots post flop, with a recreational in the big blind, because you're going to be in position versus both players in the recreational, most importantly. But yeah, 3-bet fold every position. Versus this guy, hands that would ordinarily be played as a 3-bet, I would just be folding, because even over a small sample, he seems just very fucking tight. He's opening from MP, so he's probably got like an 8% RFI or something here, like, which is like suited broadways, decent pairs, and you know, good ace-x. So ace-jack's pretty much like middle with his opening range, so it's not doing amazingly. So yeah, hands like fucking ace, jack off and stuff like that, you know, I'd probably just like fold here versus these super nitty guys. But yeah, 3-bet fold from every position. Don't know what we're gonna do. Nice. Yeah, sizing's fine. But again, playing in big blinds just makes life so much easier. For me, at least, anyway. I'm just not used to playing the dollar amount, so it's an extra little bit of computing on my part. But yeah, he makes it, what, 2.6, and we make it 9.8. Again, I'll just standardize to just 3x for the most part, mate, in position, 3-bet. This is just a personal thing as well, depends on the ranges you're playing, like, 3-bet size will differ. On GG, I'd default to just like smaller, frequent aggression, do you know what I mean? So like, I'd just min open from every position. There's just so many guys just auto folding pre, so min open every position, just small 3-bets in position. You want it, like, this is your most profitable spot. 3-bet in position as the aggressor when your opponent calls and you go post flop. So this is where you're making so much money. So yeah, you want him to just be playing out of position with a weaker range versus your uncapped range and win loads of money post flop. So yeah, I'll just go 3x here, just make it 39. So like now you go smaller, you might be incentivized to call with, you know, some like ace-9 suited and some pocket 7s. Now you just, you know, bet range on the flop 25%. Now he's like, oh fuck, you know, and they call, and then you can barrel turn or check back bluff cat derivatives, and you just want them to call with a weaker range out of position. So I personally prefer going smaller with my 3-bets in position. Yeah, okay, well, we won't delve into the cutoff, but yeah, what I said still applies. But on the button, we'd be straight away, we're looking big blind, small blind. And that's the difference between whether this is an open or a fold. But yeah, I won't I won't overload you as much as I already have done. I'll try and slow down a little bit and just pick up the key things. Never going to be playing it fold. Yeah, spin open. No, man. Nope. Open or fold. No limping. I mean, again, there's arguments to be made for like limping. You can play a limping strategy. Again, it's not a theory mistake, but you're not doing it for the right reason. Simplify your strategy. Best way to just crush these stakes and fly through. Just simplify your strategy. 3-bet fold pre-flop. No cold calling, with the exception of what I said. If you're on the button or you're in the small blind, it's a small size, and then there's a recreational in the big blind or a recreational already involved in the pot with suited ace-x and pairs. Okay, it's a very easy simplification. So outside of that, 3-bet fold and open fold pre, no limping. Again, that's not the best strategy. You should be limping in a lot of spots. You should be limping small blinds with weaker hands that don't want to open and face a 3-bet when there's recreationals in a big blind, or if a recreational is already, there's a ton of nuance to it, and there are times you want to be limping, and you can play a limping strategy. It's like, people at high stakes are doing this, but it just adds a huge layer of complexity to the game and extrapolates the amount of playable nodes infinitely, and it just, you just get lost in the woods. So it's just open fold, man. Just min open. So we're min open in every position or folding. So no limping, min open everywhere. 3x, small blind, or fold. Right, easy one to fix. So we just make it 10 cents here, 2 big blinds. I haven't studied a limping strategy now, so I don't know what the correct theory response to this is. I would call. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't see any reason why we're folding this here. See it? We're calling 15 into a pot of 32, pot of 47 once we call. So we need 30% equity, which our hand easily has. We're playing slightly over 100 big blinds deep. This hand can make very strong hands on a number of boards and win huge pots. Your opponent's doing this with like King Jack of Hearts and stuff like that. King 10 Hearts, Queen Jack, Queen 10 Hearts. Other suited ace-x, any ace-x, there's a ton of spots we win huge pots from hands. Board comes like ace 4, 7, and then we're stacking ace king on a lot of runouts. That's a lot of different ways the hand plays out, and worse flushes, we're stacking those, and I don't see why we're limping if we're not looking to play versus this size given the price. But yeah, just don't limp anyway. Good takeaway from this one, just open fold. And yeah, we definitely have to be calling, at least calling. I don't know, in theory, maybe like a 3-bet frequency. Could imagine is a thing. But yeah, never folding. Right, not a bad board, eh? I mean, obviously, not to be results oriented, but yeah, it's your opponent's sitting here with like 10-9 of hearts now, King 8 of hearts. There's a million fucking runouts. I mean, your opponent's sitting here with ace queen off, You can comfortably check call flop. You can check raise. Just a load of, but yeah, your hand's just doing way too good to be folding here. Don't limp. Open fold, and don't fold with good hands. Getting a great price. We defend, yep. So nice and open it. Comfortable defend. Again, get some ranges. Will be free bet at frequency. But that's the smaller side. I think we're just more incentivized to call. And a showdown, we just check and show it down. Yeah, nice. Well played. Fold. Straight away, I'm just looking at the big blind. If the big blind's not a super net and we're not opening 100%, then we can just fold straight away. It's on the cusp. We can min open. I would just min open because the guys seem tightish, and it's on the cusp. It's an open. Again, just looking at the big blind here. Min opening. If you just min open in every position, you can just look at this table. Button seems fairly active. This guy is not going to be getting 2 out of line. And the big blind's just super net, and the hands are fine open. Well, it's a pure open in theory from EP. Even if you're opening like 2.5x, it's pure open. But yeah, if you're min opening, you definitely just clicking the min raise with this. So often it's just going to fold around to the big blind, who's a massive net, and you're just going to win the blinds often. And it's a strong hand. It's just an open anyway, even into a table of rakes playing properly. You know, it's a hand that you should be opening. So yeah, open this one. Get some pre-flop ranges. I'll get you some if you haven't got any. Just sort of familiarise yourself with those. At least just opening ranges and big blind defending ranges. Some of the more common 3-bet spots, and just get familiar with those. So much of honestly, if you play like a good pre-flop strategy at the micro stakes and you have like a simplified post-flop strategy, you can just like play decent pre-flop. Add in some of these exploits, you know, like opening wide, button, small blind, given the parameters, you know, I've set out when those are applicable. Is it like a pre-flop deviation, smaller 3-bets in position, you know, just to attack people not 4-betting enough and calling perhaps hands they shouldn't, you know, playing out of position into an uncapped range, and then just c-bet range on pretty much every flop. You can just bet like quarter pot, third pot. There's a simplification. In position is the aggressor. And then just checking back a ton of turns, bluff catching a ton of rivers, betting good bluffs. You know, we'll get into that, but pre-flop is so much of it at these stakes. If you just play like a good pre-flop strategy, and yeah, a nice, just simple post-flop strategy, you can just crush these stakes, fly through, and you don't have to think too much either. But yeah, easy open, it's fine. Fold, yeah. Fold. Don't fold. Yeah. It's at 2.5, so we should be going like 12 here in theory. What's this? Like 7. Yeah, it's way too small. Minimum want to be going like 50 cents there. Easy open, 3 big blinds. Yeah, nice. Easy fold to a 3-bet. Not in theory, you should be defending it and 4-betting it sometimes, but at these stakes, people are massively under 3-betting the people are massive under 3-betting the big blinds. So all these cuspy like 0 EV defends, you can just auto fold. Right, simplification here. Nice, easy one. Oh man, it's such a complex game. I'm just gonna fucking overload you. Like, it really is just such a complex game. Small. I just recommend just higher frequency, small c-bet from the small blind. So like quarter pot on any board that isn't like a low connected board. C-bet range, small blind, 25. I'd go with just 29. Let's just say 25%. So you're investing less money. Right, c-bet range, small blind, 25%. Any board that isn't low connected. So like, you know, 4, 5, 7, like 4, 5, 7, 5, 6, or 5, 7, 8, like any of these sort of boards, right? These low connected boards where the big blind's gonna have like all the straights and sets and 2 pairs and stuff. So any of these low connected boards, we check range and proceed cautiously. And anything else, any, you know, reasonably high paired board, any high card board, so like Queen 7-2 or King 10-5, 8-8, Ace, like just any of these boards, right, where people are just going to be fairly inelastic and just have connected with it in some way or have just missed it entirely. You know, we just see bet range 25% from the small blind. Now versus check raise, just fold. Yeah. Like what do you think his range is when he raises her in position? Right, he's going to have 9x, maybe some stronger king x, maybe some draws, some flush draws. And what's the best case scenario for our hand? What's the best way you think this hand plays out in your head? Right, the turn is an offsuit 10 of diamonds on the turn. Like our hands, it's not that great still. You know, our opponent has king 9. You know, you can have like our hand in hearts shouldn't be through and pre, but like there's a lot of runouts and a lot of situations where like we end up playing for stacks, and you know our hand's not that great, and that's like best case scenario, right? We get an offsuit 10, so little 6%er on the turn. Look. So yeah, just fold. People. Anytime you face a raise from in position, it's just so underbluffed. People like to call. They're cool here with so many hands. You know, they're not raising like people aren't raising any like 6s here or like enough gut shots or anything like that. You know, so just yeah. See a bit small, fold to raise would be my advice. No, it's a clear fold again. Yeah, but we just get away from it on the flop. Like even now, this river is what, like again 10 of diamonds, and now your opponent bets, and you feel obligated to call or potentially raise. You know, and he's just. You're chopping some of the time, and he's got all the queen 9 off, he's got king 9 off, and he'll have ace 9 off, and like, you know, it starts to add up to a lot of combos. It's like a 10 of hearts river, and now he has all the flushes, and like you just end up putting in so much money into a somewhat uncapped range. That's all the nuts, and just get yourself into trouble. So yeah, see a smaller flop and fold to the raise. Fold, good. Fold. Open. Min open. Yeah, nice. See, look, you folded the king jack, right? The king jack off. You folded, which is as good an open, if not a better open, than this king 8 suited here from EP. And the lineup was better. There are 2 active blinds here. I mean, the button was more active in the previous hand, but the big blinds who you're looking at predominantly anytime you're opening. And this guy seems somewhat active, so you can assume a degree of competency, or at least you're going to face more resistance, right, than these passive 17 VPIP 4 table in no thinking guys. So yeah, just something to think about. You open this without too much hesitation, but you folded the king jack off after a little bit of fall, and I'd argue that the king jack off is a better open than this king 8 suited, even though they're both just clear opens anyway. But something to think about. It's going to be a long fucking video. If you see any yet, fold just straight away. Like now we're already folding the hand. There's no way we're going to play. The only way we play this hand is if it goes blind versus blind. If the button was like a massive fish and he can limp or min open or something, then we could argue for a defend. If the small blind opens, his hand can be played unless he's like, you know, opening 4x and stuff like that. We fold, but like there's times we played his hand, but most of the time it's just going to be a fold outside of blind versus blind. So yeah, we can just fold in that. Save time, because like, how long's this taken? 4 seconds, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, you know, it could have been 2 hands played in that time. Yeah, open. Defend to a 3-bet. Yeah, I'm fine with it. It's on the cusp. You can just cut these out in it at these stakes. So like earlier positions, I'd just eliminate all the cuspy stuff. It is a frequency open. Or probably a pure open if you're min opening, honestly, or close to. So like, I'm fine with it. I'm opening this shit, you know, because I feel comfortable playing post flop versus these guys, and I think you exploit them by opening high frequency, small size pre-flop because they're not 3-betting enough and they fold too much and they play too passively post flop. So this is good. Just be aware of, you know, you're going to get yourself into some tricky spots if you're not too confident playing post flop. So yeah, I'd advocate EP, MP. Just fold all these cuspy hands. Oh, you have Jack 8 suited, 10 8 suited, you know, 6 7 suited. All pairs I'd still open just because they have higher implied odds at these stakes. And again, you don't face enough aggression to have your equity denied in a lot of spots. But yeah, all pairs I'd still be opening, strong suited king X. But from EPMP, these like low suited connectors and mediocre suited like 1 and 2 gappers, I just fold EPMP, just simplify your strategy, get through more hands per hour and put yourself in just more positions where you're going to be, you know, heads up versus the big blind with wider ranges. So cut off button, I'd be opening super wides like we talked about. Small blind, you know, just 100%, button 100% into tight blinds. And earlier positions I'd just tighten up a little bit. Easy fold. Just fold now. We're not going to play the hand. Doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter if button calls, small blind calls, and big blind calls. We're still just folding this hand. Plays very poorly multi-way. We're going to be out of position to at least 1 player. 2, you know, if the button comes along with a cold call as well. And it's just, yeah. So we make a flush. We make top pair. We make 2 pair. And pretty much any board where those situations happen, like, we're just losing a lot of money to so many better hands. So just fold. Position's key. But the second you see this guy raise, you can just fold. But yeah, I'm nitpicking a little bit, mate. Being a little bit too harsh, perhaps. I don't know, but I think this is what I'd want anyway. If somebody was going through my game. And like what we're gaining from this, these are 5NL players. That there's a 500 to 1,000 players in the pool. Probably not going to see him again for another 40 minutes, you know. Like we just don't gain anything. Why do you want to know what Raphael is 3-betting here, or what Fat Q is 4-betting here from the bottom? Like, we just don't gain any relevant information here. It's just the nothing e spot. We open, we've got 3-bet, we just, you know, we fold, move on. Like how much time again this is now? This has been 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Approaching 20. Yeah. Might be because you're recording or something, mate, and you know, maybe you're thinking about saying, or maybe there's something going on in real life, you know, and you're just taking a second. So yeah, just fold this. Because again, big blind's active, right? But if this big blind's one of these 17 VPIP guys, I would be opening here, just min open range. But yeah, straight away I get dealt this in the button, looking at the big blind. Okay, he's somewhat active, really tight. recreational player looks like in a small blind, so we're not going to be playing this, which is fold. Fold. Min open. Yeah, you see, sometimes you're opening 2x, sometimes you're opening 3x. Don't deviate your opening size. You should do, again, you know, it's, when I'm saying these things, I'm saying it's what I think you should be doing and what people should be doing at these stakes that don't have, you know, solid grasp. Saying you don't, my friend, you know, but like, yeah, just standardize your opening sizes, your 3-bet sizes, outside of playing versus recreationals, where you should just be, you know, doing what you think your hand should be doing. So you're on the button and you got a strong hand versus a guy that's just not thinking and playing, you know, 50% of hands. Then yeah, you should be opening like, you know, 3x, 4x, 5x, 10x on the button with like your stronger hands if they're going to call regardless. But yeah, it just adds complexity again to your game. So for now, just min open every position, 3x small blind. We've talked about it. Right, so out of position, simply, it's too much, man. You know, every single spot just waffling on, and it's going to be way too much. I think it's going to be overload, but you can go back to the video and, you know, try and integrate little bits piece by piece. So easy simplification, right? Because you don't see this too much at higher stakes, right? People aren't cold calling like from MP, from the cutoff. Not a lot of guys are still playing 3-bet fold on the button. So you're rarely going to find yourself in these spots, you know, where you open like EP and like MP cold calls, or you open cutoff, especially to 3x, you know, and you get a cold call from the cutoff, you open MP. But when you do find yourself in this, the most common formation this is going to happen is when you're like EP, MP cutoff and the button cold calls, okay? So anytime you're out of position as the raiser, when out of position as pre-flop raiser, see bet range 25%, any board you can have 2 sets, your opponent can't. Right, that's what I mean by that. So in this spot, the guy looks pretty tight, so he's probably going to have 9s in a cold calling range here, right? Same for the button. You know, people aren't 3-betting these hands, assuming they're playing cold calls, which they shouldn't be here from this formation. So he's probably going to have 9s. So we don't have 2 sets here. He can't have. We have kings. He can't have kings, but he can have 9s and he can have 5s. So we see bet range 25% on any board. We can have 2 sets that they can't. So if this was like king queen 6, king queen 5, king queen 2, 10 jack 2, 10 jack 6, ace queen 5, ace queen 7, like any, you know, anytime like these 2 high cards. So you assess, you know, where you think the cutoff is. So I assume people are 3-betting there. You know, this guy probably like 10s plus pairs. So any 2 cards 10 or higher, you can just default to c-betting range 25%. Everything else check range. Every other board check range. Oh. Right. So yeah, again, it doesn't accomplish anything. I haven't watched a video yet, right? So I'm talking as if I've already told you something and you're not integrating it. So I'll have to try and bear that in mind moving forward. But yeah, it doesn't accomplish anything. Yeah, you fold out worse hands and get called by better ones. Inflate the size of the pot with a hand that wants to get to showdown. Like if you get called here, you're behind, you know, you're really poor future prospects. And if you get a fold, it's, you know, he's got fucking pocket 2s or ace 2 of hearts, or like, you know, loads of hands that don't have much equity versus us, and we have really poor equity realization, meaning, you know, we're not going to get to actually get to the river and get to show down our hand. So it just doesn't accomplish anything here betting. We isolate ourselves versus better hands, or hands that'll have good bluffing opportunities on later streets, and we're not going to be in a position to do anything about it. We just have to fold a load, and we just needlessly inflating the size of the pot. So what we're looking to do with a hand here, we have like a mediocre hand, has some showdown value. We're looking to check and get to the river. So if it goes like check check, we check turn again. You know, if you bets a reasonable size on the flop, we check calls. He's still gonna have bluffs. You know, he'll have some of those like gut shots, 10 jack, and you know, like queen jack suited these hands. Maybe like a 6-7, 7-8 suited. Maybe he just takes a little stab with, you know, like an ace-5 suited or something like that, and he'll go check check turn, check check river, and we get to win. You know, he fires the flop here with just like a like a 10 jack suited, and then the turn's a brick, and he fires again, and you know we can call because we unblock these bluffs still, and then we can just you know there's complexity to it. Again, I want to overload, but betting here doesn't accomplish anything as a takeaway. We have a mediocre hand, wants to get to showdown, so we want to check. If our opponent bets like 30 cents on the flop or 3/4 and above, we can just check fold flop. If our opponent checks back and the turn's like a 2, then we check again. And, you know, look to bluff catch. Versus this guy, I just wouldn't, because if he's playing 13 VPIP pre and has a cold call in range versus 3x as a 13 VPIP player, then he's not going to be somebody that's going to be hammering the bluffs, we'd assume. So we can just massively overfold and assume that he's just going to massively underbluff and undervalue bet, and we just get to show down our hand, which is what our hand wants to do. So same thing, man. Betting, same as the flop, doesn't accomplish anything. Just check. So you've bet on the flop and he's called. I mean, like, you could argue it achieves in that, you know, you get called by draws, right? Like, you can call you like 6, 7, 7, 8 and 10 jack and queen jack, queen 10, these hands we discussed. Host of flush draws. So you could argue this gets value from those, but not for this size, right? Because he's not folding anything that's reasonable. And then on a whole ton of rivers, we've just inflated the pot, and like we can't triple. So we're looking to like check bluff catch the river, and so you need the river to not be a 4 or 7, a club, a 10, a jack, a queen, a king, a 9. Like you know, you need it to be a pretty decent fucking river to warrant any sort of like bluff catch here. And you don't fold out anything with equity when you've already bet larger on the flop and gone for a small sizer on the turn. So anything now that floated the flop for that size is not folding turn. This, so he's going to fold now and prove me wrong, obviously. Okay, so it's the dream spot, okay, and so it's kind of what we talked about, right? Dream spot, complete brick, but now we're going to check, and now he bets, yeah, and so how much do you think we can assume he doesn't have like queen jack off, 10 jack off, queen 10 off, right? 6, 7 off, 7, 8 off, like, you know, only suited variants of these combos. So, you know, we're looking at like 12, 16 combos of like potential like miss straight draws, and like throw in a spatter in a flush draws, so like another 10, 20 combos, whatever max, if he's not through, and probably pre. And then yeah, load of king X, load of 9X, maybe pocket 7s, pocket 8s, maybe pocket 10s, ace 9 suited, 9 8 suited, 10 9 suited, king queen off potentially, king queen suited, king jack suited, king 10 suited. Yeah, so now check bluff catching as played. And he doesn't even bluff. So we've just given him a great price to realise all his equity. So it's dream spot with this hand as played, but Yeah, again, if we're giving him these, we're looking to check bluff catch the river, and he doesn't actually even bluff the times he misses. So we just inflate the pot and only ever find ourselves in a spot where he's going to be betting value. We don't know that, obviously, prior to showdown. But we fold now, yeah. We can defend to that size, but again, you can just overfold in the big blind at these stakes. The rake's high and people are pretty tight from the early position, so all them hands that are on the cusp, we can just fold. We're going to be playing in position. And yeah. Nice that you waited though, but yeah, look at the big blind. If the guys are super net, I'm just waiting. The second somebody opens, snap fold. If it folds around to us and the big blinds are net, then we just open range. Snap fold. Yep. Yep. So same thing. Like if the button open, I mean, we just fold into button. Yeah. Small blinds, pretty much any position. We played his hand. No, it's just clear fold pre. So like king 9, like I'd just say just king 10 off defender. You just want to be playing less hands out position here from the blinds. So yeah, just keep it simple, and we just say like king 10 off here as a defend. He opens 3x, just if even fold like king 10 off. Shouldn't, but I would. And yeah, king 8 off just not strong enough here. Even versus a min open. It's on the cusp, so I'd only play this versus small blind. And I completely lost post-flop action. So yeah, he opens like 2.6. Yeah, it's easy fold. If he min opens, you can, call. It's probably close to a pure call versus a min open in theory. But that's a 2.5. It's like barely a call, like really low frequency, if I had to guess, in theory. And then factor in your opponents of just across the board playing too tight, and it just becomes an easy fold. And the rake as well, obviously. So yeah, just fold all the janky shit out of position. Sorry, I'm talking again and missed the action. It's alright, just checks down every street, I'm assuming. Check. Yeah. Yeah, like this again, give him the opportunity to bluff, bet weaker hands. And yeah, now just check again, we can block the river as well. Because now when we check, we allow him to now bluff some hands potentially. When we check 3 streets. The hand's played fine. We can block turn / bet turn. We can do a load of stuff. But yeah, hand's played fine. I don't mind a little block on the river. Just a little quarter pot. Get called by, some fucking pocket 7s, pocket 8s, some queen X, You just want to target like weak hands that have checked back twice here, right? So his range is going to be like weak hands and ace-X, and we've given an opportunity to bluff with all the weak hands and check to him twice, and he's chose to not do so. So likely it is, he's not gonna now bluff as somebody that's shown that probably not stabbing, trying to win too many pots, having been checked to twice. So if his range is like weak hands, middle in pairs, and an ace-X, then I think just betting small targets that range the best, assuming he's somebody that's not going to bluff a load when we check to him. Yeah, just go like quarter pot, or maybe like a 5th pot, just fucking 2 big blinds, whatever, big blind. Yeah, just to get a crying call, like fuck it call, from pocket 4s and 5s, and queen 10 suited, queen 8 suited, queen jack off, or whatever, anything worse than a king, basically. And also people aren't going to be raising river with their ace-X. So when he has like ace-5 suited here and these sorts of hands, he's not going to raise those hands for value. People aren't doing that for the most part of these stakes. So we get to a nice cheap showdown versus ace-x. We get value from all the worst hands. But yeah, case in point, you know, you go for like a nice small size. There's just so many of these hands, right? He's got 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, jacks. Million queen X suited, loads of queen X off. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So these, you can ignore this, mate, right? Because it's not a big thing, but it is a big thing on GG because of how the ball plays. Like, the reason my fucking win rate is what it is at these stakes, when I've done the bankroll challenges and that, and my red line is through the fucking roof, is because just little spots like this. So like this, we can open, right? It's a recreational in the big blind. We can just like min open this, but yeah, I'm not advocating for it per se, but it's just something to bear in mind as you get, you know, more confident playing these spots. But yeah, you can definitely like min open this. Maybe not this spot actually. Small blind's pretty active, but yeah, just in position versus recreational. Yeah, okay, right. Ignore this one. It's probably taking it a little bit too far, but like it folds to you. Like you could justify for an open here because you're playing this hand in position versus a recreational in the big blind. But yeah, so it is a bad hand. So yeah, folds good. So you know, ignore me. But yeah, same here. This folds to you. Just open ranger. It's a 17 VPIP Asian player. You know. 100 of them in the pool at any given time, and they all play the same, and they're all multi-tabling. They're playing 20 hours a day, leaderboard grinding, rake back grinding. They're not thinking. They've got auto fold on in the big blind. You know, you just min open this, and you'll get a snap fold like 80% of the time. Yeah, we're not going to be playing this in any way, shape, or form, even if like that's a min open from the small blind. So you can just fold straight away. There's, I mean, small blind limps. All right, yeah, okay. Never auto fold in the big blind, obviously, for that reason. Sounding like a bit of a fish here myself. Obviously, small blind can limp. We're going to want to play on GG. Obviously, there's no option to like check or fold, is there? So. Which is one of the benefits for opening super wide on the button and the small blind, because people just have like auto fold on. I mean, it's an argument for limping a ton in the small blind as well, because like, on every other site you have check or fold in the big blind, so that means any situation here where the small blind doesn't limp, or anybody limps, you know, and it gets to you, and we have the option to check or raise. But on GG it's different. There's no like check or fold, you know, you fold and that's it, you're done with the hand. Even if somebody limps, you know, you'll fold. Or auto fold to any action post flop. I don't know how it actually works out. Yeah, now we can just fold. Seems like a minor thing, but you know, already it's probably like maybe over a minute. And we've only got 10 minutes into the video. So just as a rough, you know, conservative guess, like these spots where we're taking time, you know, it's a really tight players open. Like I'm sitting here, I'm waiting. Second I see any open from anywhere, it's just a fold. And like these little 5-10 seconds, you know, every 5, 10, 15 hands over the course of a session, like they add up, you know, you're getting in 10-20% hands, potentially more. Like, yeah, it's terrible. Like, guys, super tight. We have a terrible hand. He's 17 VP. We don't know over what sample, right? You haven't hovered over the HUD, but let's assume it's a relevant one. These, like, VP PFR converge pretty quickly. You know, if you've got 100 hands on somebody and they're playing like 15, 16 VP, chances are they're, you know, somewhere thereabouts, they're a tight player. Even over as small a sample as 100 hands. So, yeah, you can put decent like weight into these, like these Pre-flop stats, VP PFR specifically. 3-bet takes a decent bit more of a sample, but it's not something to be relied on GG anyway. It's wildly inaccurate. But yeah, it's one of these guys, right? This 17 VPIP Asian player. So he's 17 VPIP across the board, right? You can assume he's opening way more on the button than the small blind than he is from like EP/MP. He's opening MP, one of the tighter formations. So he's probably like 8% PFR here, and then 8% range is looking pretty fucking strong, you know? It's like decent pairs and suited broadways and like offsuit ace-x, decent like offsuit broadway ace-x. And we're just absolutely crushed by that range. Just playing a weak hand into a really strong range out of position. It's the worst spot you can find yourself in poker. So just looking for reasons to fold it. Right, so as here's a little exploit. This is like MDA stuff. I don't know how true it holds these days, but like there's a lot of the shit doesn't really change over years at the micros. But like, so anytime, like, you shouldn't be calling this Ampri, right? But we have called this Ampri and we're in the spot we're in. So anytime the people aren't balancing their checking back ranges, right, is the takeaway. So, you know, this guy's not checking back enough Queen X and over pairs, and, you know, like aces, kings and stuff should be checking back here at frequency, and some like strong, like loads of hands should be checking back to then bluff catch / raise on later streets. But you'll find that people at these stakes will just bet anything bettable and look to, you know, continue betting so long as they see it to be a value hand. And yeah, so anytime your opponent checks back on the flop as the pre-flop raiser in position, so, you know, we defend. Ordinarily it's going to be in the big blind, right? We call big blind versus EP/MP cutoff or the button. And anytime they check back the flop, we can just bet turn and bet river. There's a load of ways you can go about it. You can like block turn and big bet rivers, but I would just go like two thirds. This is like an easy rule, so you can add this to your game and print with it. So anytime in position raiser checks back flop, bet all bluffs, any turn and river except ace X, 66%. Right. So anytime the in-position raiser checks back the flop, we just go 2/3 turn, 2/3 river, unless it's an ace and we can shut down. So on this turn, we'd go 2/3. And on this river, we'd go 2/3. Yeah, so the trouble is when we check twice, now what do we credibly rep? We're not checking a queen twice. He's, you know, being as tight as he is, he's not going to show up here with a lot of like pocket 3s, pocket 4s, 6, 7 suited, none of them at all, I'd go as far as to say. So he's just going to have a ton of like pocket 9s, pocket 10s, king jack suited, ace jack suited, ace jack off. You know, he's going to have like around the jack X region and some of the stronger under pairs. And our size just doesn't, we can't credibly rip anything here with like a big overbet, you know what I mean? We're not checking the queen twice, so I don't think a big sizing is credible. And once we've checked twice, we're like this sizing, saying like a, you know, like a jack here, like a decent jack, like an ace jack off, king jack suited, something like that. Maybe it didn't 3-bet pre. And that's pretty much where he's at in his range. So there's just no hands we get folds from. I guess like unpaired ace-x, right? Might get a fold from, you know, like ace-10, ace-king. No, it does show one of these lower pairs, but yeah, I wouldn't even assume him to have these from the early positions. Again, I don't know what the sample is. But yeah, if he has these, he is even worse, you know, because he's going to be calling every pair, we'll assume, here when it plays out as it does. And yeah, it's only really those like upper, like ace-x hands, lower suited ace-x hands that check back 2 streets that we get folds from on the river. But yeah, I'm waffling, mate. It's, again, such a complex game. And a million ways you can play every spot, and there's obviously a best way to play every spot, and it's just trying to figure out what that is on the fly, and there's just so many factors come into play. Formation, the population plays, the fucking sizings people use, how people play, like profile tendencies, whether it's like a tight passive regular or a loose like coolly passive fish, or like an aggro wow, or like a tight aggressive regular, or like a loose aggressive regular, and that's profiles, right? And then you have a way you should be playing like versus those, and then you have to factor in sizings, and then like timings come into it, and then it's specific player tendencies, taking notes on players and ways they play certain hands in certain spots, and it's just such a like infinite complex game, and you'll never learn it all. But yeah, keep it simple with the low stakes and stuff like this. So just these little like MDA lines, exploits that if you just implement these 100% of the time, there's going to be times it's not the best action. A lot of times it's not going to be the best action, but more often than not, it's just going to simplify your strategy, right? So you don't have to think. Opponent check back flop, we're out of position, he's the pre-flop raiser, bet 2/3 turn, bet 2/3 river. And like we probably get a fold from this hand, right? Now we bet 2/3 turn, we can credibly rep a ton of queen X, loaded jack X, and now we bet river, and that's so like definitely see this hand fold into 2 streets of regression. Certainly going to be folding like the ace-x region, right? Maybe some like ace-10 off and like ace-king and stuff that float turn. That's the bet, and then now fold on this river. And yeah, not to be results oriented, obviously when we see his hand, but yeah. I mean, obviously, but versus the button, it's even more so the case because ranges are just like super wide. They're just going to have so many unpaired hands that like float one and fold 2 streets of progression. So anytime in position is a takeaway. Anytime in position checks back, just bet turn, bet river 2/3. Easy, done. Don't have to think about it. Opening, assuming it folds to us. Right, straight away, same guy. Just look at the big blind. Any time they're like sub 20 VPIP, even like 21, 22 VPIPs, you can open range, right? They're not 3-bet enough. Worth having a look at their 3-bet range. But again, man, you don't want to waste time in these like spots at the micros. Just have sort of a default game plan. And big blind's tight. If it folds to us, we open any 2. If not, we're just looking to fold it. Second somebody opens, we're folding. Fold. Yep, it's an easy thing to fix, and we'll just like skyrocket your win rate, just eliminating a lot of these pre-flop mistakes. Already talked about the reasons why, right? Guy's really tight, he's in position, we're out of position, we got a weak hand versus an uncapped range, a tight opponent. He's not going to bluff enough. We have really poor equity realization. We're not going to get to showdown with any sort of pair that we make, or shouldn't be getting to showdown with any sort of pair we make on a number of boards. When we're facing bets and we think we have a reasonable hand, we're going to be behind just like way too much. When we improve to a lot of flushes and straights, our opponent's going to have better flushes and better straights, and we're going to lose huge pots in a situation we shouldn't have even found ourselves in to begin with. If we had like ace-2 suited here, and we've already said we're going to be 3-bet folding from the small blind, like I wouldn't be 3-betting that versus somebody opening such a tight player, opening it on the button. I'd just default to folding. But if the big blind here was like a big recreational, then is what we talked about, right? These like pocket 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, these like cuspy 3-bet fold hands from the small blind that I would just fold versus a tight player opening it on the button. If the big blind's a fish, then we are incentivized to now call those hands because it's not going to get squeezed very often at all. And it's going to incentivize the big blind to like call a ton of hands, given it's a recreational player. And now we get to be the guy that's, flush over flushing or flopping a set versus, 2 pairs, top pairs and stuff, and winning big pots versus a recreational player, rather than isolating ourselves versus the tight rig. So yeah, 3-bet fold from a small blind, unless it's a small size and the big blinds are fish. Check raise flop. So, yeah, you can like, and again, we're not getting attached to this hand, right? This is a good hand with good barreling opportunities, right? We should be calling it pre. Okay, so first and foremost, just fold pre. It's easy, but we're post flop. Okay, so as played now, again, it's you know, guy's very tight, but he's gonna be opening widest on the button. So you can assume like, I don't know, 24-25% open range or something like that on the button here. And the ADC betting a small size, so a lot of regs at these stakes are just going to be betting range, right? When they bet a smaller size, they're not balancing with small size and check back, you'll find very often. So these like low, so low connected boards, again, like what I wrote above, like see bet range in a small blind, apart from those boards. So any of those like 3 cards below, and like a 9 and below, 3 cards connected where a straight's possible, or low paired boards, or like medium paired. So you know, like 10 4 8 8 6, like 6 7 9. Like you can just check raise really high frequency versus the small C bet size, and just print on the flop, and you can just do it like fucking any two pretty much. If you're in a big blind here, you can just check raise any two versus, because they're going to be c-bet range and they're not going to be defending enough or 3-betting enough. So, but yeah, maybe not do it at range, but like this hand has very good barreling potentials. Like calling is just so bad there. Just seize initiative. You know, the river's a 6, a 7, a diamond. Yeah, predominantly a 6-7 diamond. We can barrel, and it just makes loads of money just straight up on the flop. If the river's not a 6-7 or a diamond after we check raise, then I would just check and give up. But yeah, I like fold. Like again, I think check raise. If we're gonna, because you're just hemorrhaging so much money, you're just calling pre-flop, and like how often is 9-5 suited going to improve to a good hand? You're just gonna improve to mediocre hands, or think you have a good hand and get stacked by better hands that dominate you. Like the flop comes 9-2-2, you see bets flop, you call, and you know, turns a 6, and he bets again, and you call, and the river's another 2, and he bets again, and you call, and he just shows you 10s, or he shows you jacks, queens, kings, aces, or fucking ace 9, king 9, queen 9, like fucking, you know, just a million hands that just dominate us, and there's so many. Or the turns the fucking 6 of diamonds, you know, and he bets and we check raise or we check call, and then the river's a diamond, and you know, we end up putting loads of money in the pot, and he's just fucking flopped quads or fucking a house. He's got pocket 4s, or he's got ace x, king x, queen x, 10x diamonds, you know, like just a million better flushes and hands that already we had us drawing dead on the flop, and just end up hemorrhaging money with a hand that just shouldn't, yeah. So check raise flop season if you just get snap folds from these like queen jack suited, queen jack hearts, you know, fucking ace 2 clubs, like all these hands, you know, you just check raise flop, get auto folds from those hands, and print money. But yeah, check calling worst option, check raising I think is the best option, and yeah, folding's fine. Fold pre. Gonna open it. Super nit recreational player in the big blind. Same point, we're just going over again and again, right? But if it folds around you, just open. Ranger, 2 big blinds. Fold. It's been open. Oh yeah, so you're going to open 2.5 now. You've min opened, you've opened 3x, now you're about to open 2.5 with this. You min opened king 8 suited from EP, you folded king jack off from EP, you open 6s from MP for 3x, now you're about to open ace jack off from MP for 2.5x. I don't know if, you know, whatever reasoning you have behind like differing your opening size, there's not an incentive to go bigger here. you know, if the big blind was a recreational, you could argue for, you know, going opening 3x or 2.5, whatever, increasing your opening size to inflate the size of the pot with a good hand versus a weaker player. But we don't have that incentive here. And you're just giving away information to anyone that's thinking it's not happening in these stakes, right? It doesn't matter. So you should be opening bigger if there's an incentive to do so. You know, if you've got a good hand and there's a weak player in the big blind, or, you know, a really, really weak player in the small blind, it's just like calling the sun. And, yeah, there's an argument to be made for going bigger. But I just wouldn't even get into it that much at these stakes now. I just, 2x open every position. The more you can just standardize your game and just not have to, like, you know, right, we have an opening in hand, open 2x, right? Somebody's opened, we're in position, we have a hand that wants to 3-bet, just 3x whatever they opened. 4, 5x from the big blind, you know, thereabouts. Small blind, big blind versus, you know, position open. And yeah, 3-bet fold, open fold, 2x open, 3x 3-bet in position, 4 to 5. I mean, it should be different versus every size from both small blind and big blind, depending on, you know, your opponent opens like 2.5x from EP and you're in the small blind, you should like 3-bet to 11. If they're like cut off or button, you should 3-bet to 12. Like big blind 3-bets to 12 versus a 2.5x open. So yeah, there's a lot of intricacy to it, but yeah, general rule, you know, if your opponent opens like 2x, make it just like 10 big blinds from small blind or big blind. If your opponent opens like to 2.5, just make it 10 or 11 big blinds from, let's say 11 big blinds from small blind, big blind. But yeah, just 4x out position versus 2.5 and above, and 5x versus a min open. But yeah, anything there about, just simplify, mate. So yeah, 3x 3-bet in position, 4x to 5x 3-bet out position. You'd be doing fine. Anyway, we open, get 3-bet. It's a 4-bet bluffable hand, but it's not really. If your opponent's 3-betting actively, in theory, it's just a fold. When we open 2.5x, even versus small 3-bet, we're never calling, by the way. Calling is terrible. So 4-bet fold. It's like a 4-bet bluffing hand, and it's not a strong enough hand to call. We got like ace jack suited, ace queen suited. These hands can call. I think like most ace x suited can do fine here as a call, most pairs. But yeah, if, you know, say we open this in a cutoff and the button's like very active and aggressive, then, or like 3-betting aggressively at least, then we can use this as a 4-bet bluff. But yeah, just fold here is what we should be thinking. Alright, your calling's worst, folding's best, and 4-bet is an option. The guy seems active, so yeah, I'm fine with it. I think, again, though, when we're opening EP-MP, even versus like an active 3-better, they're going to be a lot more cautious versus the earlier position opens. So if we open this in the cutoff and face this raise from this sort of player, we don't know his stats, right? But he's rocking 43 VP over the sample, so we could assume he's somewhat active, you know? But yeah, I'd be, anytime you're facing a 3-bet, I'd just look at his 3-bet stat and just get a general idea, you know, of his VP PFR. He could be playing like 43-10 over, you know, a few hundred hands. In which case he's, you know, like a passive cally recreational player. And like when he's raising, it's usually with a good hand pre-flop is the pre-flop raiser, you know. When it folds to him and he opens, it's going to be pretty good hands. And then you can extrapolate that even further and assume that when he 3-bets as somebody that, you know, calls loads of hands and raises infrequently, when he actually chooses to raise a raise, it's going to be like very good hands. In which case, you know, we shouldn't be 4-bet bluffing into that at all, really. We can just fold. But yeah, I like that I'm assuming, you know, you've looked and seen he looks active and bluff sizing, yeah, one. I have to go this big, but yeah, it's fine. Nice. Good hand selection. I think it's just taking it a little bit too far when we're EP-MP. if you was in cut off and face that, like I said, I think I like it. I'd play the hand the same. Got a little bit smaller, but yeah, it's fine. Nitpicking. Easy min open. You can, if it versus open from this guy. Well, okay, let me look at it. Was this the same guy? It is, isn't it? Okay, so I'd say he's just very active. So it depends how he reacts to 3-bets. If he's, 4-betting super aggressively, then a 3-bet's less incentivized, but you can just really expand your range on the button versus like an active player opening from the cutoff. Blind, nobody at these stakes is cold 4-bet bluffing pretty much at all, and they're not 4-betting for value nearly enough at all, and you're not too worried about that, which takes away incentive to 3-bet wider than theory suggests. But yeah, if this guy opens, I like all these cuspy hands that would ordinarily just be folds as 3-bets. So yeah, no, calling's bad. Okay, I'm fucking saying the same point over and over again. You haven't watched the video, right? But yeah, 3-bet fold. So if the recreational is a big fish, like we've talked about, I'll prefer calling hands to play those hands in position versus him, and we're doing decently versus the wide player opening from the cutoff. So all those like suited ace-x, suited broadways, king, queen, king, jack suited, these sorts of hands, pocket 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, all these hands that like don't just want to raise and start building a pot versus the reg. But yeah, this hand is just bad. So I like 3-betting as a bluff versus the wide opener. And outside of that, just folding. It's his board, right? He crushes this board, so I don't think we should be developing much of a raising range, or I'd be like really just selective when we've got like pocket 4s here. If we end up here with like king, queen, for whatever reason, like those hands, just value, I'll just be raising here. Everything else, I just wouldn't have much of a raising range. You could just have no raising range, honestly. It's just his board. You just got to accept that and play accordingly, so I prefer call. Yep. He overbets, so here's where we got ourselves in a dicey situation, right? Because we can just be drawing dead here already. He has all the ace-x suited, which isn't a million combos granted, 9 to be specific. No, 8. So yeah, we can like already be drawing dead. Dream scenario. It's a club river. I mean, dream scenario. It's the ace of clubs river, right? We improved the nuts. Outside of that, dream scenario, club river. And we just lose a huge pot. Like if he's somebody that's capable of overbetting turn here, we can assume he's somewhat of a thinking reg, right? And we can assume all in is in his own. He's just a slight overbet on the river, right? When he all ins 150% or so after we call turn. So yeah, we can just fold down here. You can do it. Don't do it. No. No. Yeah. My God. But right, so it's like even now, do you know what I mean? Like you call that on the turn, pot's $3, 4 left behind. Like he shoves river, we got the second nuts, but what do we get shown that overbets turn and jams river? That isn't the nuts. But yeah, nice one. You're fucking with me there, I feel like. With the turn jam. Well, yeah. Well played, apart from pre-flop. 3-bet fold. in that situation, I like a 3-bet versus everyone else pretty much all the time just folding that. Fold, yes, same thing. Not going to keep logging a dead horse, I think the saying is, but yeah. It's poor hand out of position into an uncapped range in a tighter formation. Just fold. Like, it'd be literally like 9s, even like fucking 10s, you know, 9s, you can call these hands cuspy hands from the small blind, even though I said you shouldn't. Where, you know, big blind's tight and they don't do well when you 3-bet. And get called, you're not gonna get enough folds, and they're just cuspy, they're just nothingy hands, you know, you can just fold them. But yeah, probably like 9s, 10s pluses in the pair region. But like a 3-bet fold range, and then you've just like suited broadways and I don't know, like ace queen off. And yeah, like all those hands would be 3-betting to fold for the most part. Like even like king queen, if you 3-bet like king queen suited here, and get 4-bet, you can just fold it pure probably. Like it's mostly defending. Just to like show you to the extent, you know, you can kind of overfold when these guys take an aggressive action in spots that we know they underbluff. So they open too little, they fold too much to 3-bets, and they massively under 4-bet facing 3-bets. So yeah, if we was to 3-bet a hand here, like I said, like yeah, ace queen off or king queen suited and get 4-bet, that just folds. King queen suited, I'm struggling to put that out as a just pure fold, but yeah, you should just default to that, I think, at these stakes. But yeah, fold pre. No good can come from playing this hand. Yeah. Just check. And we can go for some thin value on blank rivers. Like a little block. Not on this one. So yeah, now we just check. But if the river's like a offsuit 3 or, you know, the 2 pairs or whatever, just go for a little block. You just bet like 8 cents, 10 cents, whatever. Quarter pot, third pot, thereabouts, something small. Again, just to get those crying calls from, you know, fucking 6, 7 suited, pocket 3s, 4s, 5s, ace 6 suited, like, you know, all these worse hands. River's like a 4, you know, maybe you've got big blinds, got ace 4 suited, king 4 suited, and, you know, think fuck it, I'll call for that size. And you just get to a cheap showdown when your opponent does have like king 10, ace 10, maybe like a weak jack that check back and checks back turn. So yeah, all these better hands that might go for like a value on the river aren't going to raise you, so you get to a cheap showdown versus hands that you lose to, and you get called by like a plethora of worse hands that you're ahead of. But yeah, on this river there's not very much we can do, so I like check, and it's often going to go check. We're mostly going to lose, and occasionally we'll win. Facing a bet now, we just fold. Yeah, nice. Case in point, you know, this guy that doesn't see bet flop of the king queen position, he checks back turn and then doesn't even consider raising versus a block from the big blind here on the river. So they're just super fucking tight, passive. Respect to the big blind for finding a bluff, but yeah, well played by us outside of calling pre. We can block turn. I don't hate. Probably find myself doing. Well, yeah. Just fold pre is the main thing to take away from that hand. Min open. You fuck up. Okay, so right, yeah, you shouldn't be c-betting range on these boards, but simplify. So anytime in position raiser, every single board c-bet range 25% or third pot, whatever you prefer. I'll just go 25 because people aren't gonna change too much versus, you know, 25% or 33%. So anytime you're the in position raiser and you get a call from the blinds, big blind more so than small blind, Ranges are pretty different when small blind cold calls and big blind cold calls, given what they've invested in the pot, and the big blind closes the action. So just c-bet 7 cents with your entire range, whether you got pocket fives, king, jack off, fucking 6, 7 suited, ace, 8 suited, your entire range. Just c-bet here 25%. And same applies as the small blind versus big blind. Check back your entire range on low connected boards. So anytime it's 3 cards, 9 and below, where there's a straight possible, check back your entire range. So if it comes, okay, outside of having nuts, good hands. So if it comes 6, 7, 8 and you got 9, 10, don't check back, right? Just bet. It's an exploit. It's super exploitable and people sort of work out what you're doing, but they aren't going to at these stakes and you don't want to miss a street of value. So with like your good hands, strong hands, nutted hands, hands that want to go for 3 streets, start out by betting the flop always. But yeah, it's a good simplification as the pre-flop raiser. Big blind, you open, EP, MP, cut off button, big blind calls, just c-bet range 25% every board unless it's a low board with a straight possible and you don't have a hand that wants to go for 3 streets, in which case you check back your range. Yeah, like it. You can go smaller again, but like it. Now, so when you're doing this strategy and you're c-betting your range on the flop, you want to be checking back really high frequency on the turn and following up with either an overbet or like a regular, like a 3/4 bet. You can go like block again, and it's good, like simplification in a lot of spots, but yeah, without complexifying our strategy too much and just keeping it nice and simple. So now we've c-bet range on the flop, our opponent's called. So now we're looking, is our hand a 3 street hand? So if we had like, I'd say probably ace jack off plus here, I'll be looking to go for 3 streets, depending on the run out, right? So we'd go like, this isn't a turn we want to, or as simplification, we shouldn't be overbetting, right? So if the turn's like a king, or like any cards that improve our range further and not our opponent's range as much. So our opponent here is going to have like, that's a 2.5, maybe not this guy. So yeah, we're not too worried about straights, but he's going to, he's going to improve some hands, right? He's going to have pocket 7s, he's going to have 6, 7 suited, and probably doesn't have 5, 8, right? So we can eliminate straights, but it's like a fairly neutral card, but it doesn't really improve us more so than it improves our opponent. So that's where we want to be looking to, go sort of like overbet or check on the turn when that is the case. So we want to be going like 3/4 as a simplification, or check back here on the turn. Our hand's not a 3 street hand, right? We're not going to bet turn bet river with this hand. We could in the right situations, but yeah, simplify. Not a 3 street hand, so check back turn, bluff catch river, or value bet river when our opponent checks twice. Yeah, like I say, blocks. This is probably what I find myself doing a lot in this spot, because people aren't bluffing enough on the river, right? If the opponent's really active and you think he's going to bluff a lot, I like checking back turn and then bluff catching a lot of rivers, but people aren't going to start turning like 4x, and they're not going to have most of the hands that should or could turn it into a bluff, and they're not going to turn anything we beat into a bluff. And yeah, I don't hate this. It gets called by worse hands, right? It gets called by like all the weaker pairs, and then we're just looking to check that river. We go for another like little induce block perhaps, but yeah, people aren't turning their hands to bluff, so I wouldn't advocate for that. Yeah, I like it, honestly. I think this is fine. Or check back turn and go for like a slightly bigger value bet on good runouts versus the double check from our opponent. Yeah, I like this. Retains initiative and denies our opponent any opportunity to bluff to us on the river, but that's just not happening. Yeah, I'm torn. It's fine. I think you can just simplify, and just check or bet for a proper size. Yeah, nice. So yeah, so like we'll just check back turn here. Check back turn, our opponent goes 3/4 river and we can fold because he doesn't have any bluff, right? So if he like floats flop like 7-8 or something like that, right? Or 4x, 6x, Pocket, I don't know, pocket eights, like any of these hands, they don't now go for value on the river, right? They or bluff or bet in any way. So like any hands we're ahead of when we check back turn and face a bet on the river, he doesn't have any like draws that brick and now can bluff. So he's gonna have like ace X, pairs that aren't ace X, and only one of those is gonna bet, and it's the ace X region. So we can I like block check back. It's fine, gets value from all those worse hands. And I also like check back and fold to a bet on the river, or go for some value ourselves versus the double check. Probably not on this river. We just go check check. But yeah, it's fine. Open, min open. Fold to an open, fold. Tight player, opening from a tight formation. We have a bad hand, no recreational. It's just bad. We shouldn't be playing it anyway. Ace 9 suited here. Recreational in the big blind. I can get behind a call. But yeah, we'll just fold it. We don't want to be 3-betting. And yeah, 3-bet fold pre-flop. No cold calling unless we have a hand that can dominate worse hands and there's a recreational in the big blind. I'm just going to keep repeating the same point in the hopes that it sinks in, because it's a really easy thing to fix and it'll improve your win rate by a ton. But yeah, we can take a little stab, check back, fine. But you see with all these hands, right, the 9-5 suited from the small blind, the fucking whatever it was, 10-8 suited, the Jack 10 off, like all these hands, I've just said, you know, snap fold, and we're calling like not any time has anything good happened, you know. And very seldomly will it. Like best case scenario here, you know, we flop fucking trips or an ace, or you know, like, which is going to be not a lot of the time already. And then the times it does happen, I mean, outside of, you know, flopping trips, obviously that's best case scenario, right? Like a 9-9 board. And like outside of that, you know, we're still up against the MP open from the tight Asian guy. And, you know, the big blind who has all the sets and 2 pairs and probably some straights. On this board, like, you know, say it's like ace 5 6 or something. You know, both players have ace 5, ace 6, pocket 5s, pocket 6s. Big blind's got 4-3 suited, so like comes an ace and then you feel obligated to call, and then you face additional aggression, and you know, are you call or fold? And checks to you, and then you bet and just get called by like ace jack, or get check raised by like all these other nutted hands that were slow playing. Or there's no good just comes from playing these hands. The old chip shuffle big bet, the classic. So already folding. When this guy bets, it doesn't matter what happens, doesn't matter if this guy calls or folds, like, we're just folding. So yeah, it's another couple of little seconds we can save. And now it's more time. I'll play 2, 3, 4 hands in this time, assuming, you know, pre-flop folds, whatever. It's like if you're doing it, if you're playing in a smaller pool, right? You know, you're playing on party and you're playing versus the same guys every day. You're playing, you know, 100, 200, and it's the same guys. Like, yeah, fair enough. And you're new to the pool, I'd advocate for sticking around and, you know, tagging people, taking notes, seeing what they're up to. You know, the big blind just shows up with like Jack Queen of fucking hearts here or something, you know, and then takes this line with the chip shuffle turn. Like it's worth tagging and taking a note, and you know. Using that to our advantage to exploit them in future hands. But yeah, it's just these pools are so big and everyone's anonymous for the most part outside of the stats. So yeah, I just wouldn't waste time just sticking around. I don't care what they got, you know, let's just fucking move on, play some more hands. Cut off, time bank calls, pocket 9s. Oh, we found the fold. Fold. I'm sure I'm getting trolled here. Fold. Yeah, fine. Fold. I'll probably raise, but I wouldn't have it pre, but yeah. That's fine. I think just check raising pretty aggressively versus small c-bet sizes. Yeah, fold. Guys, you know, slightly over the threshold we set out earlier, right? If he's playing like 18 VPip or something, again, just opening range, but yeah, fold's fine, open's fine. I think, you know, opening's still the more profitable choice, but it's going to get you into dicey spots post-flop if you're, you know, not comfortable playing and just shutting the fuck down, you know, and denying and realizing equity well with hands, these sorts of hands, and just not losing money post-flop is the key. We're opening them because it's a profitable open pre, but yeah, fold's fine, man. I'm not going to fucking waffle on any more than I already am. Min open. Yeah, open fold pre, just again. Min open. So we started off min opening. We threw in a random 3x with a pocket 6's MP, and then we've been opening 2.5 since then. Snap fold, good. Snap fold to any open. Do some stuff blind versus blind, and then on sizing and opponent. If the button min opens, seems to be a recreational player, right? So if the button min opens, you can advocate for a call here. It's really a good price, and you know it's a high cardy hand versus a weak player, so he's doing fine as a call. Versus small blind open, maybe free betting something like these offsuit, this sort of region, King X, like frequency free bets. You can just free bet them pure, honestly. Any frequency 3-bet from the big blind, you can just 3-bet pure. So yeah, like King 9, King 8, King 7, King 6 off, these sorts of hands, like Queen 9, Queen 8 off, low offsuit, asexy hands generally. Like there's so many hands that are like frequency 3-bets from the big blind, but like all these sort of like janky Ace, King, Queen X off hands. And then like, you know, Jack 5s and 10-5 suited, these sort of stuff. And then like all your suited connectors, you can just 3-bet pure. And then like most pairs, you can just 3-bet pure as well. And then obviously everything better than that as well, like your value region. So like all your suited broadways and good suited ace, like ace 10, ace 9, like ace 10 plus, yeah, probably like ace 10 suited plus. But I mean, there's no point in me waffling on about this, mate. You can just get some pre-flop ranges and they'll tell you all this. But yeah, anything that's like a frequency 3-bet, that's not for value, you can just 3-bet pure. And obviously all your value stuff, you should just be 3-betting pure anyway. And looking to build a pot with good hands versus weak players. So versus 3x, yeah, we can just automatically just fold from the get-go. Fold, no info on the big blind. Not going to be played in any way, shape or form outside of us opening into a tight big blind. So we already know we're folding, we can just fold. This guy's taken 10 seconds already. It's another few seconds, so yeah. It all adds up. Min open. Any suited hand on the button, min open. So just anything we would open on the button, we can ISO versus like wide recreational limps. So we can just make this 3x with our entire range and maybe a little bit, yeah, maybe a little bit tighter if anything. So if we would be opening, you know, fucking like King 5 off here into 2 tight blinds, I wouldn't ISO that versus recreational, but like anything half decent. This is on the cusp, but yeah. This ISO, just play pots in position. Heads up versus recreationals. Have that in mind. That's what you're looking to do. You're looking to play pots in position versus recreational players. So the best way for us to achieve that in this spot, and for it to not go multi-way, like we just call here, and you can just follow, right? It's fine. Like we call here, and you know, now small blind squeezes, big blind squeezes, small blind calls, big blind squeezes, small blind calls, big blind calls. Now we're playing, you know, 4-way with a shitty hand, and we're in position versus the rec, but now we've got like 2 potential regs involved in the hand as well, and we're loving life a lot less, and we can control the pot a lot less. And then if we was just, you know, heads up versus recreation, and the best way to achieve that is just the ISO here, make it like 3x, 3.5, whatever. And then more often than not, it's going to go fold from the blinds. And even if, you know, one of the blinds is the call, it's really going to get 3-bets. People want 3-bet enough, not going to get squeezed enough, whatever. Then we have an uncapped range, so, you know, we have better, like we just do better, right? Because now we can just see bet boards and be given credit for having a stronger range than if we're just a limp behind it. So, folding's fine. ISO best, I think. Yeah, I think limping behind is probably better than folding still. I don't know. I'm a fish myself. What size do we bet on the flop? Again, I don't know. I personally, hands that aren't looking to go for 3 streets, I prefer, because we've learnt we got the big blind now involved in the pot as well, right, which changes things. Were we to ISO and, you know, EP calls, as is going to happen a lot of the time, recreational player, like this hand, I'm thinking, right, this isn't going to go for 3 streets on most boards, right? A million, you know, the turns an 8 or a 10 or a king or a queen or an ace or a 2 or a 7, or like, you know, are not comfortable going for 3 streets on a million rivers now as well, right? Outside of it, like improving to some sort of trips or 2 pair on a good run out. And so yeah, straight away on the flop, I'm like, right, this hand isn't going to go for 3 streets. And recreationals, when given the he's got such a wide range, right? He's limp pre, assuming we ISO'd, right? He's limped called pre, so he's rocking 50 VP. He's got such a wide range, and he's so often than not just gonna whiff the board entirely. So like when we bet here for a big size, yeah, we'll get some value from, you know, some worse hands, maybe some overs, you know, maybe like a fucking king 10 off or something, you know, it's gone over and decides to call. Probably not versus this size though. We force out folds from a lot of those hands. He's gonna have some better jack X as well, you know. He's probably got some ace jack off and king jack off, queen jack off, jack 10 off. So I think when we bet big, we kind of like isolate ourselves. We get value from some worse hands, but we can't bet 3 streets. I think there's just way more money to be made by checking back the flop and just giving him rope, and then we just call any turn, any river. Like if I had like 7-8 suited here, I would check back flop and then just call any turn, any river outside of him, you know, sizing up significantly. If he goes like pot over bet, you know, we can fold. We can fold to the pot on the turn unless you have, you know, like a read. He's like a wow that just bets big sizes. But yeah, anyway, takeaway, there's a lot more money to be made in these spots by checking back flop and bluff catching turn and river with like 7x plus probably. Maybe like pocket 5s, pocket 6s. So he's just gonna have so many air hands. And when we bet, we just force out folds from the majority of his range, which is unpaired. Yeah. So yeah, he's just sitting there with like king 3 suited now. And that's a hand that would have bet turn and would have bet more, you know, we can assume will look to bluff. What we notice about recreational players, you know, they massively over bluff when given rope because they have such a wide range and they can never win, you know, so they see the only option to win the hand is the bluff. And there's just so much more of that than there is of like worse hands that call, and we make more money going that route. So yeah, check back flip on a call turn, call river, even on this run out. Probably one of the worst run outs, and yeah, still just check call turn, check call river, because he's just got like an ace 3 off and king 4 suited and queen 6 suited, fucking queen fucking hand like queen 7 off, and like they're just so mergy and such a wide range. They do wild shit. Just give them maximum rope. Brent. Right, I might have to do this in 2 parts because this has been 2 hours already. I think you're probably going to be the only one that bothers to watch any of this. But yeah, this might have to be a 2-parter because I want to get on the grind myself. I didn't know it'd been that long already. Been waffling away. I'll probably cut out, so just fold pre-mate. He like effectively min opened. Like yeah, he's on that cusp. But yeah, like we talked about, just all these cuspy hands, just fold. Guy's tight. He's opening from early position. It's on the cusp anyway. It's just not worth anything. Just fold. Move on to the next hand and find ourselves in more profitable spots. Yeah, I can just snap check fold to any size. Alright, okay, so what we talked about now, what would we do in this spot? Our opponent's check back. Just 3/4 turn, 3/4 river. Any run out. Outside of an ace. Yeah, it's fine. I go bigger, personally. It's just a good simplification. Just 3/4, 3/4. Because now you're going to get calls from, you know, maybe some like pocket 10s or like... I mean, pocket 10 is probably calling anyway to a larger size. But I think it just works better. Just kind of like 3/4, 2/3, 2/3. Just an easy simplification. And I think over 2 streets, that does well. So like with us, like with this, you know, like say now he does have like pocket 7s, pocket 8s, calls, because you know we can have bluffs on the turn, smaller sizing. I think a lot of those hands now facing 2 streets of like, you know, somewhat credible aggression or like, you know, repping some sort of strength. Like we can have, you know, decent Jack X and ton of kings and stuff like that. It just gets a lot more folds from hands that now will call float turn. Like in hands like ace queen, ace 10, right? Queen 10 suited. Hands that float turn, like, oh, not queen 10 suited, obviously, but like ace, queen, ace 10, like hands we lose to now on the river. That will float turn, and now it'll just go check, check, and we lose to those hands. So like, all those hands, and, you know, some of those worst pairs, and I don't know, maybe like an ace 9 of diamonds and shit we lose to as well, you know. Or like a ace 3 of diamonds, or an ace 6 of diamonds, or a 6, 7 of diamonds, you know, like a lot of these hands that might play this way. When you add them all up, there's quite a lot of them that will float turn, and now we lose to on the river that would just fold to a 2/3, 2/3. And now, you know, queen 10 suited, 9 10 suited. Like now we're being denied equity by those hands as well, right? That again would be folding to the 2/3, 2/3. So now we check and we allow him the opportunity to bluff now with all these like diamond draws and queen 10 and stuff, and club draws. Oh no, not club draws. Obviously improved a flush, but yeah, like these sorts of hands, you know, check back flop, which aren't many given it's mostly suited combos, right? But they add up. A fair few of them. Right, I think we're gonna well, we're like halfway through the video. I think we're 20 minutes out, 30 minutes. I think we've gained enough from this anyway. It's a fucking over a 2-hour video at this point, or 2 hours thereabouts. Yeah, just min open. Anything suited on the button, just as the default, just min open, and then just yeah, just fold, fold, fold. Nice. You keep doing it, you can't. Definitely getting trolled. Right, I'm gonna wrap this one up. I'm waffling away, hoping to make this about an hour, and it's 2 hours. We're only 2/3 of the way through the video. But I think there's very simple stuff we can just iron out that will just skyrocket your win rate like instantly. And then I don't know, I guess I'll check back in a couple of weeks, a few videos down the line, see if we've taken anything on board and If I feel like you have, then we can go further. Yeah, same thing, just never limping. Well, because it's bad in theory. Like I say, you can play a limping range from every position. There was one guy specifically at 500. I remember going years back that played a pure limping strategy from every position. Well, it was at least from EPMP. I might be lying about every position. And he played it very well, and crushed. He had a way higher win rate from EPMP than a lot of the regulars at the time playing a limping strategy, just because people weren't sure how to play versus it and he'd studied it well. But I don't think that's the case for us, so yeah, simplify open fold. Right, I'm going to love you and leave you up because it'll be another hour if we continue to the end of the video, but I think we've gained enough. Stop taking notes at a certain point, but I think everything displayed on screen, so right, yeah, wasting time with hands that we're not going to play. Yeah, stacks in BB just to get in the habit of that. I think it's a good one. Pay attention on the button of small blind to the blinds. Open any 2 cards versus nets. Yeah. 3-bet fold from small blind. 3-bet fold from every position outside of recreational and the big blind, and we're on the button. Or we talked about in the small blind as well. Same thing, but yeah. No limping yet. Been open everywhere. Correct small blind or fold. Good. C-bet range, small blind, or is the in-position raiser 25% on any board that isn't low connected. Good simplification. When we're out of position and get called by somebody in position, so we open like EPMP, cut off and get called by the button, or EP get called by him. Yeah, anytime we open from EPMP, cut off and get called by any of those positions or the button. C-bet, yeah, C-bet. Any C-bet 25%, any board we can have 2 sets our opponent can't, and then just check range and everything else. And it's not the highest EV, but it's a strong simplification that's going to mean you're not fucking up any spot too bad. And yeah, simplify until we're playing a simplified strategy well and confidently, and then we can look to start to add complexity that makes us more money and add more nuance. And yeah, that's another little just easy simplification. Anytime in position, Razor checks back the flop, just 2/3 turn, 2/3 river. Right, so this is a 3 streets hand. So yeah, it's bad, like checking turns bad. We want to get value here. Our opponent has like king jack off, and probably king 8 suited. Just yeah, loads of worse king X, and yeah, the hand just wants to be going for 3 streets. So I wouldn't now triple probably on this run out. Depending on what size we used on the turn. We definitely can. We go for like a regular, like 2/3, 3/4, thing like overbet turn, I prefer. And then check back river, having overbet turn. But yeah, we can go like 2/3, 3/4 turn, and similar size on the river. Just get value from all those worse hands. But yeah, we just miss a street. If this river's now like a 2, like 2 of clubs, or an ace or a king, or we just the pot size increases exponentially, doesn't it, on every street, given we bet the prior street. So we bet turn, we like overbet turn now. We go for like a dollar, like 20 big blinds on the turn. Now the pot's $2.74 going into the river. Now the river's a king, and we jam, and we win over 100 big blinds from all the worst king X. Or yeah, the river's an ace, and the opponent's got like ace 4, ace 2, and same applies. So yeah, now the river's a king, and we go for value, and now look, it's a 70, is a I can know, quick maths, 15 big blind pot, and we're betting like whatever 10, 11, 12 or something. Now we're getting 10, 11 big blinds of value on the river instead of 50. Plus. I don't mind a small raise. Yeah, let me go like anything 50 to 3/4 is fine. Yeah, 75%, and then probably fold to a jam or a raise of any sort. But yeah, I think versus the block, we should be raising for value. Yeah, like it. I got a little bit smaller just because the hands we're targeting. When he blocks, it's going to be a lot of just like weak king X, and I think we can force out folds from some of those hands and isolate ourselves versus better hands when we go for the bigger size. So I prefer like a little 50%, even a click back, you know, 40, 50% in position, even smaller. But yeah, somewhere around there, somewhere around 50%, maybe a little bit smaller, just to get a crying call from, you know, those worst king X effectively is what we're targeting here. Yeah, nice. I mean, we get max value. So yeah, like I said, I don't think it matters too much, but I prefer a smaller size. I think sometimes when we go larger, we might fold out at least some of the worst king X, right? If our seems to be pretty wide and fishy, so like these like king 8, king 7 suited sort of stuff, maybe some of those hands might start to fold. But yeah, I like raise, and I think sizing is fine. I just personally go a little bit smaller just to ensure we get a call. Nice. Right, on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you. Hopefully a few takeaways from this one. Fucking hell. I spent way more time on this than I anticipated, but hopefully there's some value in it. For anyone that's stuck around and listened to me waffle on. I am going to get stuck into the grind myself now. Apologies for the delay. Shout out to anyone that's still here at this point. I'll get some uploads going at some point in the near future. Just focusing on stepping up my work ethic a little bit on the playing, studying side of things. So I'm playing a lot, I'm doing a lot of study. Probably a 2-to-1 ratio of study to play at the minute. And I want to keep that going for a little bit, I think at least a few weeks. And when I'm feeling confident and crushing like I should be, then I'll start to get some uploads on the go again. I might do a little one here and there in the meantime, some stuff like this perhaps. But yeah, I just need to focus on stepping up my game a little bit now and improving that work ethic, because I say, when I feel like those two things are being, or when I feel like those two things are true, then oh yeah, look to start getting into the content side of things a little bit more again, because I enjoy it. But yeah, peace, love, all that good shit. Good luck on your grinds, and I'll see ya when I see ya.